Hi, folks. Welcome to Leadership and Innovation Unlocked with Inclusive Collective, where we bring you news and analysis of the latest in people and workplace culture and share stories and learnings of leaders and organizations driving performance and innovation through inclusion. I'm your co-host, Dr. Nadia Butt, a workplace culture strategist and talent development consultant and coach. And I'm here with my very dear friend and esteemed co-host, Rob Hadley, a people and culture strategist specializing in operational excellence transformations and analytics. Rob, welcome back. How
That is
is
what
your
I do.
summer going?
That is what
Do you
I
love the
do.
esteemed
I specialize in what again? Operational
operational
excellence.
excellence transformations and
That
people analytics?
sounds amazing.
I actually talked about you to potential clients this week about my colleague Rob, who does people analytics, and I explained what that was. It's really interesting how not a lot of people know what that is, and so really good work that you do
No one
centered
knows what that
around.
is. That's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it's
tell us, what is it?
helping people make decisions around people, helping
Mhm.
executives make decisions around people using data. We're going to talk about, we have a story about this later. I can't wait to
Love
get
it.
into that.
I can't wait to get into
Remind me
it.
to talk about people analytics when we come to that story later.
I will, but also, can we talk about what you're doing this summer? I hear that you're going to a rodeo.
That's next up on the agenda is the rodeo, and people are always, like my Northeast friends, right? Like
Yeah,
the big metropolitan areas that I spent a lot of time
that
in.
you
Everyone I talk
frequent.
to,
Yeah.
like, what? You're going to a rodeo? And then I'm like, yeah, I'm going to a rodeo in Kansas. And then they're really
Oh,
confused about
Kansas.
why I'm going to a rodeo in Kansas. But
Yeah.
that's something that we
Well, you
do every
also grew up
summer.
in the Kansas area, right?
I didn't grow up there. My parents are from
Your
there,
your
so
parents
a
are
lot
from
of
there. That's
families from there. So
right.
very
I went
fun.
to the Texas State Rodeo
You
in
did? Did you
Dallas.
enjoy
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, you know what? It was different for me.
Yeah, I
Never
think
had,
that's
I think it was my second rodeo in my life, and both of them were in Texas. So
yeah.
it was like a lot of big things. And I don't know if you're from the Northeast. In New England, there was the Topsfield Fair. That state fair rodeo kind of reminded me of that, but like
Mm-hmm.
times 5 or
Yeah.
6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
like a lot of like bulls.
Yeah, a lot of bulls. Yeah, at
Yeah.
a rodeo tend to be a lot of bulls.
Yeah. A lot of bulls.
All
A lot of big turkey legs.
right. Well, if you ever want to come to Kansas, you're invited as well.
Thanks.
All right, but we have business to attend to today. So no,
We do.
the rodeo that we call Leadership and Innovation Unlocked. Nadia, we're going to be talking about the EEOC ditching demographic reporting requirements, full-time retail and gig workers being on food stamps, and Meta finds itself in trouble again. Then we rant, then we rave. But first, Nadia, let's
Yes.
get ourselves over to the deets.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, Nadia. So the Trump administration, I can't believe we're still in the Trump administration. Can you believe it?
I know.
They are
Only a few
moving.
more years left.
They are going to eliminate a 60-year-old requirement that tens of thousands of private employers submit annual workforce demographic data to the EEOC. That's the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. The Republican majority on that commission voted 2-1 to advance the proposal. It now enters a 30-day public comment period. If it was finalized, then that would end the longstanding source of information used to identify workplace discrimination and mark a significant shift in federal civil rights enforcement. Nadia, I went down a rabbit hole, but first, tell
I'm
me
sure you did.
I
I'm
was
sure.
really
I'm
upset about.
almost certain you went down a rabbit
I
hole.
went
I
down a rabbit
know.
hole, but first, tell me what you think.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I'm going to push back on the rhetoric we're hearing from this particular administration around diversity, equity, inclusion,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I think it frames measuring equity as a problem instead of asking whether our workplaces are actually fair. So, we both work in organizational effectiveness work, and I don't see demographic data as political. I see it as data, right?
Mm.
We use data to identify patterns and to solve problems and to help us make better decisions. And the justification is that these reporting requirements cost employers money and aren't necessary unless there's already evidence of discrimination. But that's logic. Really falls apart for me. How do you know there's a problem if you stop collecting the data that helps you to identify it?
Mm-hmm.
In every other areas of business, we measure things before there's a crisis, right? So we measure customer satisfaction, we measure employee engagement, things even like safety incidences, financial performance, because we want to spot trends earlier on. And so, I think we always say things like what gets measured gets managed, and eliminating this type of data doesn't eliminate disparities. It just makes them harder to see. And I'll just also end on my like a little bit of a rant of how, when you consider this recommendation aligns with Project 2025, and that was in the article,
Yeah.
it feels less like a cost-cutting decision and more like, more of a part of a broader ideological shift away from accountability. And that's, we should want more evidence when it relates to equal opportunity, because that's really the goal.
Yeah, Nadia, you could be a people analytics. What am I? A people analytics expert, right? You jumped
Yeah,
right
yeah.
into on the data piece.
Yeah.
If and the well that I went down here is, if, from a political standpoint, Republicans hold a 2-to-1 majority on the EEOC. But if you remember, there should be 2 Democrats to 1 Republican. Trump removed 2 Democrats before their
Right.
terms ended. So
Sure.
the Supreme Court is actually expected to hear a case about the powers of the president has for removal at agencies, and that outcome could determine whether those terminations stand, and then
Hmm.
whether what the current balance of power on the EEOC could be. So
Hmm.
it's an illegitimate Supreme Court. Remember how we got the current makeup of the Supreme Court that
Hmm.
shows no deference to precedent is going to rule on the legitimacy of the EEOC. So
Hmm.
they will likely support the president's powers to remove
Sure.
them. They
Sure.
support everything that he does.
Yeah.
But then think about, if a Democrat, even if a Democrat were to win in 2028, they could not just reinstitute the rule. They would have to
No.
follow procedures, and it would take time,
Supreme
and that
Court.
would be
Right.
litigated. So this is
Hmm.
just it's wrong on so many levels. And then think
And it's
about
lasting impact.
it's lasting. You can't just flip a switch and get back to where
Hmm.
we were. But you
Mm-mm.
know, this data helps us understand progress and representation. It helps the EEOC follow up on racial discrimination claims. It helps policymakers make better decisions, as you pointed out.
Right.
Yeah, so you have to ask yourself, why is it so important to make it more
Hmm.
difficult to do these things, or to make sure that we understand progress and track progress for non-majority or non-dominant groups, right? So
Yeah.
organizations that want to do this, governments, state and local governments that want to be able to ensure equity and fairness and inclusive workplaces, need to
Hmm.
think about the data that they're collecting, because they're not going to have access to this type of data going forward. And as you say, I think that you hit the rail right on the head, right? Good data helps the government make good decisions, right? Like,
Hmm.
full stop. And be more responsive to people in a democracy. And the reason
Sure.
the Trump administration doesn't care about that is because that's not something that they're interested in, right?
Right.
It's not a priority. So, but next week I'm going to introduce you as a people analytics
I
specialist as
love it.
well, right?
Please
So
do. Yeah, here we
I
are.
think you could tell that client,
I did do a lot of
don't.
research as part of my dissertation, which makes me qualify
You're
as a
probably more
qualitative.
qualified for sure. You got that doctor behind you.
No, I mean, and you bring up a good point too, like not to belabor the point, but absolutely, like, fine, gender, race, I get you're like fixated. I get like this administration is fixated on what they think is diversity, like quotas or the agenda. But like now you're missing out on people who are living with a disability, or people who are veterans, people who are part of the LGBTQ community. I mean, so again, it's just like this does not make sense. It does not make sense to, miss opportunities where people are not treated fairly or equitably. And, the data just gives us the evidence. It gives us the starting point to think about how to make places fair and more, reasonable to work at. But here we are.
For sure. And well, can I give you another fun piece of data,
Please
another story
do.
on data,
Another
right?
story. Let's
A
do
little
it.
tilted toward data this week, right? So a new
Yeah.
Government Accountability Office analysis finds that millions of Americans who receive Medicaid or food assistance are also working, most of them full-time and for private sector employers. These workers are concentrated in sectors such as food service, transportation, and retail. And in some states, major employers have thousands of workers relying on public benefits. Nadia, I actually heard a story, I don't know if you heard this, that when workers at Amazon sign up for their benefits, like just as part of the onboarding process,
Mhm.
there's even a screen that takes them from like Amazon to sign up for SNAP benefits, right? So it's sign up for
Oh,
food stamps and assistance. So
okay.
I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about the study, the article? I'll let you start.
Yeah. Okay, so this isn't a story about, I think, people avoiding work, right? It's a story about wages not keeping up with the cost of living. So if you're working full time and you still need assistance and your employer is sending you a notification for that assistance to pay for food or to pay for additional health care, I think that's a sign that the job isn't providing a sustainable living,
Right.
right? Like
Right.
we keep telling people that, you put in hard work and that's the path to stability. That's the American dream. But then that data shows that that's increasingly not true.
Mm,
So, like, this
right.
conversation shouldn't just be about employment. I think it should be whether work actually pays enough to live with dignity and financial security.
Yeah. Yeah. And then with inflation, I think you're going to see more of this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think even, and you're going to, we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about how the companies were cutting back on benefits or healthcare benefits in order to fund AI investment, right?
Mm.
And so, and I don't know if, we're talking about retail companies here, but you're going to see more of this as people lose access to healthcare as well.
Yeah. It's a sad day when you have a full-time job, you're working 40 hours, 40 plus hours, sometimes 80 hours a week, and you're not getting paid enough to, have just your general foundational human needs met and require assistance for that.
Yeah, yeah. You can go through this study, and it's looking at 11 states specifically, right? And you
Mhm.
can go through and you can see. So I kind of dug in. I wanted to see what was happening in these particular states. So, for example, in Georgia, you can see that about 5% of all Medicaid recipients work at Walmart.
Mhm.
Another 4% work at Amazon, Dollar Tree, right? And you can go through and you can see the retailers, restaurants, food delivery services. So like your Uber Eats or whatever. I don't pay for food to be delivered to me, but
Oh, you don't? You're
it's
probably like
I
one
don't.
of
I cannot.
very
I
few
think
people
that's
that do.
wild. But it shows that these entire industries, and so not to pick on Walmart, right? The industry itself is government subsidized, right?
Mhm.
It does not make sense economically if the government's not picking up the tab on food security and healthcare for your
Sure.
workers, right? So
Mhm.
it's worth considering why that is. You're in mass. So why does Dunkin' deserve to have its benefits costs subsidized by taxpayers? It doesn't make it.
Right.
So, and then, we talk about workplaces. These industries have high levels of worker disengagement as well, right? Like these are some of the lowest worker engagement industries that we have. And, we tend to work a lot in white collar environments. And so we're always talking about meaningful work or psychological safety. But if people's basic needs aren't being met, it's almost impossible for you to engage with your work, right? And so
Yeah,
I
sure.
think that's it's a mind blowing report. If you get a chance to sift through some of the data, and again, it's only 11 states as a sample, but these industries shouldn't exist in their current state. Wages are too low for the people that
Yeah.
are in those jobs, right?
Yeah, and I like, just to even define further what you mean by, like, people can't show, like, they don't show up to do their best work, like, we're talking about employee morale, employee engagement, productivity within their workplace, right? And I think those are really important things when we're considering what's benefits and support employees need to be
Right.
able to sustain their life, right?
Yeah,
They're very,
yeah.
like, simple things here.
Simple things should be obvious. Well, we're going to take a quick
Yeah.
break, Nadia. So stay with us. We will be right back.
Here's a question. Is your organization solving the right problem or just the loudest one? At NAS Consulting, we help organizations move beyond assumptions and into action. It starts with assessment, understanding what's really happening through interviews, through focus groups, surveys, and organizational diagnostics. From there, we develop a strategy that's aligned with your business goals and your people, your culture, and this is not a one size fits all solution. Then comes implementation, whether it's leadership development, workshop facilitation, executive coaching, or change management. We partner with you to turn strategy into sustainable results. If you're ready to strengthen your leaders, improve organizational effectiveness, and create meaningful change, visit NAS Consulting, because lasting transformation starts with understanding the problem and having the right partner to solve it. Check us out at www.nasconsultants.com.
Hey, we're back on Leadership and Innovation Unlocked. Nadia, Meta. Can
Yeah,
we talk about
Meta.
Meta?
Again, here we go.
A
I feel
group
like
of
it's every week.
I'm gonna make a direct personal appeal to Meta at some point here, but a
Okay.
group of current and former employees sued Meta, alleging that the
Mm,
social media giant used AI to conduct layoffs and discriminated against some workers. The workers allege that Meta failed to take approved absences into account when determining which employees to cut. Basically, what they did was say, AI, who are my worst workers? And AI said, hey, these people that aren't here all the time, they suck. They're worthless. Get
hmm
rid of them. And those
Yeah.
people just happen to be on medical leave or maternity leave. Now, to be fair, Nadia, I know humans that would have made the same judgment and calculations, but the lawsuit comes nearly a month after a federal judge in California ruled against Workday in a separate employee-related lawsuit involving
hmm
the use of AI for hiring decisions. Nadia, is it a
Mm.
good idea to let AI make workforce hiring or firing decisions?
Oh my gosh, no. So, here we go again with Meta. Like, and I hate saying like I told you so, but this is exactly the conversations that we've been having on this podcast. Here's the issue where whether AI makes the decision or simply informs it, leaders are still accountable at the end of the day, right? Like you can't hide behind an algorithm and pretend bias disappears because technology was involved, right? AI reflects the data, it reflects assumptions, it reflects incentives that we give it. And this is exactly why we've been saying that AI governance can't be an afterthought, right? Or organizations are racing to adopt AI as a tool, but too many aren't asking kind of the hard questions like how was this model built or what data is it specifically pulling from or using and who gets audited. I mean, this one question I'd love to ask is like who's accountable when it does go wrong.
Mm,
So I think AI isn't objective just because it's AI. If this case proves anything, it's that responsible leadership has to come from responsible technology. And
mm.
I don't think we're not there. Clearly, we're not there yet. Clearly.
Nadia, I want to echo what you started, the path you started going down there, right? Like, I don't want to talk about Meta every week. I don't want to
I
post about
know.
Meta. I have no axe to grind with Meta. I don't know
hmm
why they're called Meta, right? I guess they were going to do the metaverse, and that was the biggest thing in the world, and then everyone forgot about it. And then
Yep.
they have the stupid glasses now. The
I
stupid.
saw the glasses.
You
I
know,
know.
our friend James Felton Keith, our guest in the
Mhm.
last episode,
Yep.
he had glasses, and he is so cool that it made me almost want to get some Meta glasses
He
almost.
is
Like
very
he's like
cool.
the coolest guy. But anyway, like every time we sit down and look at stories about workplace culture, Meta's in the news for doing something either arrogant or stupid or both. This
Yep.
qualifies as both, right? And it shows you how little care there was taken in these layoffs. These people
Sure.
that are suing, they're going to get a payday, right? Like they're going to get Meta's idiocy and arrogance is going to make it worth their time. They're going to get a settlement, but it doesn't matter to Meta. They have more money than certain continents, and I think that's why they're so reckless with people issues. But imagine if you were one of the people that were laid off that was not one of these 26 people. You now know that AI made the decision and the
hmm
recommendation, not a person, right? Like, so everyone
Yeah.
knows that human in the loop is an option. Obviously, Meta knows that. So they either decided to forego having a human review this
Mm.
or they reviewed them and they made a mistake. But if you want to use AI and HR in making decisions, like the human part has to be the priority. You use AI for certain aspects of data collection and analysis by all means, but let people make decisions about people. Like that's,
Right.
to me, that's pretty intuitive.
Yeah. I would agree with that. It's great. Rob, that's it. Thanks for the deets this week. We will be right back with rants and raves.
Hey, it's Rob here, sneaking in a little break to tell you once again about my weekly webinar and LinkedIn Live series, Trust by Design, which I co-host with our friend Aparna Ray. Every Wednesday, Aparna and I give a 30-minute talk for HR leaders on specific trust, equity, or management problem facing small and mid-sized organizations. Join us July 29th for Dignity as the Foundation for Organizational Culture and Practices, and August 5th for Layoffs Done Wrong or a Strategic Failure. Go to trustbydesign.co to learn more.
Welcome back, folks. We are here with our rants and raves. And Rob, it sounds like you're ranting first.
Rant first. All right. Hey,
You're
I don't
ranting
know if it's
first.
actually a rant, Nadia. I think I'm a little bit worried about Google. I don't know.
Oh,
And not the
tell me
mathematical
more.
concept or the number, right? Last week, the tech giant that makes cool graphics of the word Google on its website reported negative free cash flow. That's the money
Yeah.
retained after paying operations and investments. That's the first time that that's happened since the company became public in 2004. Alphabet, that's the parent company for Google, expects to spend $205 billion on AI projects. That's more than Pete Hegseth spends on wars that he already won. And their frontier model Gemini has experienced delays in its next release, right? So yikes.
Oh,
At the
that is
same
a
time,
yikes.
Google's union is gearing up for more layoffs by proactively asking the company to guarantee layoff terms from 2023, saying that more recent layoffs have been less generous. So it
Mm.
doesn't sound like they have the cash to be able to
Mm.
pay all the people that they're laying off. So
Yeah.
just a reminder that this giant AI build out, someone has to pay for it. Most likely
Hmm.
that'll take the form of a government bailout down the line. So stay tuned for
Sure.
that. But
Sure.
just not a rant, just a little worried about my friends at Google, Nadia.
Just a little worried, a little concerned. Thanks for that. Well, I will end here on a positive note. And I know we spent a lot of time talking about the risks and the challenges of AI. We don't mean to sound so negative about it. We're just trying to be honest and upfront about what we're observing. Those conversations do matter, but we also need to celebrate where AI is creating real human impact. And so this is one of those AI stories that reminds me why we should be excited about this technology. So there's an Axios article that highlights how AI is transforming drug development by helping researchers identify promising drug candidates faster, reduce timelines, and accelerate discoveries that could lead to new treatments. And to me, this is just like the best example of what AI should be, right? Not replacing human expertise, but really amplifying it. And so, yeah, I wanted to kind of just share that as this is not just like making work faster, it's potentially changing lives.
Amazing. And actually, as you went into it, I was so excited. So to recap,
Mhm.
yeah, using AI for drug development and solving big problems, yes,
Yes.
thumbs up. Using
Thumbs up.
AI to fire people,
Not so
thumbs
much.
thumbs down,
Thumbs down.
thumbs down. I think we all learned that's all we need, right?
This
That's all
is
people
all
needed
we
to know,
need. That's
right?
all the lessons you need in life. Just
Yeah.
listen to us here on Leadership and Innovation Unlocked.
Yeah, clip that. We'll clip that at the end. All right, thanks, Nadia. That was awesome. Appreciate it. Leadership and Innovation Unlocked is a production of Inclusive Collective Media and edited by R.A. Mathey. We would love to hear from you. Really. So send us your feedback at inclusivecollectivepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe or follow and rate us. 5 stars if you really love it. 4 stars. Listen to next week
No.
for 4 stars. Wherever you get your podcast, and make sure to share us with your friends. We'd appreciate it. Thanks again to my dear friend, Dr. Nadia Butt. We're going to be back on August 11th.
Be well.